And welcome, everybody. It's Monday, May 8th or Tuesday, May 9th. And this is the Open Hearted Practice Group. Jim Mansky here, flying solo today. Jory's just a little under the weather, nothing to worry about. She just had a stressful adventure out with a doctor's appointment, and she's okay. And here we are. I'm really glad to be here. We're working with life arising, when life just happens. And I heard a lot of feedback from folks. They want access to their nonviolent communication skills in the warmth of the moment. We'll call it the warmth of the moment instead of the heat of the moment. And I'm really happy looking at your faces as we all gather. I see Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, United States, Canada, India, Australia. Really cool. Yeah, I'm really glad to be with you all. I'm going to have a special guest toward the end of the call today. So if you can stay to the end and meet Kirsten Christensen. She's a member of the CNVC board and a certified trainer from Denmark. And she's gonna take the opportunity to tell you about a really exciting project that she's involved with. And I think she's going to be accompanied by one of the candidates that I have the privilege of accompanying on their journey. A man named Giu, G-I-U, who is a Brazilian man living in Finland. And he's helping Kirsten with the project. So we'll tell you all about that toward the end of the call today. And it looks like everybody might have been here before, but I'll just briefly share that this is a practice group. So the idea here is that we practice. It's not so much like a webinar where Jim's going to be doing a lot of preaching and teaching. It's I say the least number of words possible in order to create enough of a context for you to be able to practice with each other. So that's my aim, is to give you a tidbit, some sort of hint of how to apply nonviolent communication in your life, and then get a chance to practice it. So that's what we're going to work on today. And we do those kinds of practices three different ways. One way is the self-connection or self-empathy or self-compassion, where we're using nonviolent communication just with ourselves. And then also we'll have an opportunity to practice the listening part of nonviolent communication, which we call empathy, and the honesty part, which is the speaking part of NVC. So we'll start with some self-connection. And I would just like to start with 2 minutes of silence, and then I'll talk to you from there. So just do whatever it takes for you to feel comfortable. Camera on, camera off. Adjust your position in some way, and then just be quiet with yourself, either eyes open or eyes closed, for 2 minutes, and then I'll give you the next instruction in the practice. If you're just arriving, we're just doing about 2 minutes, one more minute of self-connection, just being in the silence. And then from this place of silence, shift your attention to your heart. Might even be helpful if you're able to put your hand on your heart, just to connect with this amazing instrument of connection. It's in the center of your chest. You may be able to become aware of the beating of your heart. It's your tireless supporter, constantly helping you to stay nourished and vital. So bring some attention to your heart, your physical heart. It beats somewhere between 60 and 75 or so beats every minute. So more than once a second, it's working for you. How do you feel when you realize that? When I say feel, I'm inviting you to notice sensations and emotions in your body. You're thinking about having a physical heart and it's beating to support your life. How do you feel about that? What needs of yours are satisfied by your heart? Maybe you want to just send a thank you, a brief thank you message to your heart. What's the honesty that you would want to share with your heart? Most of us are familiar with the heart as a muscle, but it's also an extension of your nervous system. It is just completely innervated with nerve tissue, neurons. And it has a direct connection to your brain. So your heart and your brain are acting in concert, supporting you in getting all of your needs met. How do you feel when you realize that? Your heart is not only a muscle and an important part of your nervous system, it's also an energy source. It receives energy and it gives energy constantly, constantly giving and receiving energy. This energy can actually be seen by certain kinds of photographic equipment, and that your heart energy is in kind of like in the shape of a donut, and it extends out around your body at least 5 or 6 feet, maybe more. So just imagine that this three-dimensional donut of energy surrounds your chest and emanates. It's glowing with your energy, your life energy, from moment to moment. And you also, your nervous system can pick up on the energy that's glowing in other people's hearts. So if you're with another person right now, you might imagine how your donut of energy is coming together with somebody else's energy. What's that like? What feelings arise in you realizing that your heart is a transmitter and a receiver of energy? How do you feel when you notice that? And how do those feelings connect to your needs? Now, just as we begin to transition, if your eyes have been closed, you can allow them to open if you would like, unless you fell asleep, in which case you can just keep sleeping. And if you're willing to turn your camera on, please do so, to support a sense of connection with everybody else that's just been through the same thing that you've been through. And just look around at us. Let your eyes just move wherever they want to go on the screen to the other people in your community today. The last little fact I learned about hearts is that some of the energy that your heart emits is in the form of photons or light particles or light waves. And so even though we might be separated by thousands of kilometers, our hearts are connecting to each other through the light that we're giving and receiving. So we're all connected through our hearts. What's that like to notice for you? Oh, I've made small groups for you to hang out in. And the groups will last 12 minutes to give you kind of a leisurely chance to connect with each other, to talk about what this experience is like. So when you're talking, you'll be practicing the skills of honesty. And it's a chance for you to practice your NVC skills. You can talk about what you're observing, what you're feeling, what you're needing, any requests that you have. You might even end on a clear and present request for a reflection from somebody else in your group. Everybody will have about 4 minutes or so. When you're listening, just listen with empathy. Empathy requires exactly 0 words. You need no words for empathy. You can just be present. It's the greatest gift that you can give to the other people in your group. It's just your open heart and your open ears. What fun to see people here that I haven't seen in a long time. Hi, Isa Maria. And Monish, glad to see you again, and Vega. So I've made small groups for you, and oh, I just see I see a request for somebody. I'm going to move you over here. See if there's anybody who's joined us that needs a group. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we're all set. So I'll see you back here in 13 minutes. There'll be 12 minutes in the group, then 1 minute when the group is over. If you feel complete sooner, you can always come back here. I'll be hanging out here. So we'll see you all in about 13 minutes. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Yeah. All right. We are all back in the same room again, so to speak. And Narcy, please go. I see Narcy is anticipating my next request. First Narcy and then Gustavo.
Thank you, Jim. Good morning, everybody from India. So very profound conversation in the short while. And as usual, Zoom meetings end when we need more time. So that's the norm, I guess. This morning I was sharing and I realized I touched upon something very profound for me, which I haven't realized before. Is just, although I took bath, said my prayers, and it's morning here, I wasn't feeling so fresh. So initial part of the sharing of the other person in the room, David, I was struggling to listen. I was hearing, and I found why. And I realized that when I am deeply absorbed in my need, in this case, little more rest, I am unable to focus on what's going around. And I extended that learning to how am I going to be listening to or tuning into the need of another person when my own need is waiting to be met. And when my turn came and I authentically shared, this is the state I am in. And I was not able to focus in the beginning of David's sharing. And somehow I felt energy flowing into my body. So honesty, and instead of whining about the state, and if I'm shining and authentically sharing it respectfully, and I found that it energized and met my need. And after that, I could really flow into the conversation. So the learning for me is one way of meeting my need for rest is to tell the others in the family or in the office that this is the state I am in.
Oh,
Instead of meandering there, existing there, or hanging around there inauthentically or unauthentically. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing your insight with us. And it really matches my experience. It's really hard for me to attend to other people's needs when mine are screaming for attention. And Gustavo?
Thank you, Jim. Just want to share with you guys an information that when you talk about the heart, I want to share that, I don't know if you know, but we have actually 3 brains in our body, and those are the regular brain that we already know, the heart, but also the gut. And then we have neurons on all of them. And actually, apparently they are related. One is related with thinking, the other one is related with feeling, and the other one is related with willing, the willing power. So I just want to share that information with you guys, because I think it's very related what we were talking about.
Thank you. Yeah. We're gonna tune into that third brain as part of our next practice. So yeah, there's the main frame is up here, and then the heart frame is here, and the gut frame is here. All of them working together to help us stay connected to life. Yeah. And Purva.
Hello, everyone. So I felt like sharing after what Gustavo just said, because my daughter Mansha has been studying in a Waldorf school, a Steiner school, and they speak of the 3-folded learning, which is the willing, thinking, feeling, which he just mentioned. Just wanted to say that.
I'm a Waldorf teacher.
So Gustavo, yes. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else have anything that you would like to share about what's the life moving in you right now? Yeah, Sangeeta.
Thank you so much, Jim, as always, for this beautiful meditation that you guided us through, and ending it finally with us meeting our aura and just sitting there in this state of expansion and just touching base with our own selves, our aura, which was, I found myself so full of love, energy, just willing and waiting. I mean, it's just waiting to be shared with the many out over there. I had something that I had shared vulnerably with Jaya the last night, and she had responded in the early morning. There were some messages, and your meditation was like, it was so supportive to all of that exchange. And there was some turmoil going on in my inner mind space, but I chose to be with your meditation and the expansion that it got me. This beautiful feeling. It's beyond words to want to express that love that I'm feeling for the community and for just every creature out over there, willing to just give it to people. Thank you so much. Really grateful.
A pleasure. Thank you. And AJ.
Thank you, Sangi, for sharing the experience, the blissful experiences. But actually, when I was going through the exercise that Jim took us through, there was some distraction. I just came into the office and somebody was cleaning the room, so I couldn't pay much attention. But when I started to pay attention and try to feel my heart, what came up for me is I'm disconnected with my heart. It was exactly opposite of what Sangeeta just described. And even in my group, I was the last one to share. So initial feeling was of oh my God, I'm so disconnected. I'm not able to blissfully connect with my heart. But incidentally, one of the persons in the group also shared that they didn't feel very connected to the heart all along. They've done a lot of other. So that's when I felt that
I
alone.
see you.
Whoops, hang on
Yeah,
a second here.
Good.
There we go.
Oh, I see. Well, I made a, oh,
Should I continue?
Yes, please continue, AJ. There was a little noise on the line. I think I figured it out.
Okay, thank you. So, so this exercise made me alive to the opportunity that I too can connect. Initially, it started with some kind of despair, but when I was able to connect in the breakout room and I felt that I'm not alone, there is this opportunity which I'm now alive to. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome. Yes. Our honesty. So at least two people shared how honesty can support us in connection. Self-connection first and then connection with others. Really appreciate that. Okay, I think we're ready to dive into the next step, unless there's somebody else who has been waiting to go last. If there's something that you want to share, then please go ahead. Okay, Monish.
Thank you, Jim, for sharing the photons and the heart connection. That somehow specifically reminded me of a thing called as it's the 100th monkey effect. It's like a phenomenon where, one monkey learns to figure out how to wash potatoes, and that somehow spreads in the form of group consciousness throughout other monkeys of also doing something similar before eating them. And it was a wonderful way of remembering that we all are connected in so many ways that we may not imagine, but that's just so true as a way to see each other at that level, and that aura continues to keep us, in a state of being in oneness with one another. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, let's do a little mini version of that right now. Just reconnect with your heart after having had these last two experiences. Have this intention to connect with the life in you. A little 20-second break. So good for our brains to just take time whenever you can, just to close your eyes and let your brain rest. It's okay to let your mind wander. It's a source of creativity and rest. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to do a little review of what we did last week, because some of us weren't here last week. And I changed the name of it a little bit just to keep it interesting. So last week it was emergent connection. This week it's arising connection. I like these ing words because they have this sense of living energy. In English, it's called a gerund, G-E-R-U-N-G, linguistically, and it indicates, it's how we use language to indicate movement, or the movement of life. And it matches my experience of not only life, but of nonviolent communication, which was designed to replace static language, which is things are this, or you are that, or whatever, with a more dynamic and fluid kind of language. We're talking about our own experience. And last week we talked about these 4 elements of getting ready to connect. And we were working on this indirectly during this last exercise. So first, intention. Anytime that you're about to connect with either yourself or somebody else or a project, it really supports, it's very supportive for well-being and clarity to get clear on your intention. In other words, answer the question, why are you going to be doing what you do? And the intention, according to Marshall Rosenberg of Nonviolent Communication, is to create a quality of connection in order to support compassionate giving and receiving. So what I like about Marshall's definition of the intention of NVC is it centers on connection, but its connection is not the be all and end all. It's not it's like the way station towards where we're really getting to, which is compassionate giving and receiving. So if you're already in the realm of compassionate giving and receiving, then you just flow. Then you're in what Marshall called life's sweet flow of giving and receiving. That's what your heart's always doing. It's giving and receiving electrical stimulation from the rest of your nervous system. It's pumping blood, giving out nutrients to the rest of the body, receiving stuff that the other parts of the body don't need anymore, and redistributing it or filtering it out by sending it then on to the kidneys or the liver. And so there's just so much compassionate giving and receiving going on in every moment in your body. And so when we attune to that, we can allow that to inspire us maybe to see that, oh, this is our nature. It's our nature as human beings or as living beings, as to give and to receive. So we're just attuning ourselves to our basic nature, which is compassionate giving and receiving. And what is it? What do you reckon Marshall means by compassionate? It means that it's not passive. It's not just hanging out just with empathy. It's about taking action. That's what the whole request part of NVC is all about. It's about taking action in the service of making life wonderful or giving and receiving. Then where we place our attention is on what's going on in the world. So we're noticing what our 5 senses are reporting without mixing in opinions about what our 5 senses are reporting. So we're noticing what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Just being aware. You can't not do this. This is another part of your basic nature as a living being. You're constantly receiving way more data than you could possibly process. Your brain is like a funnel, and it's actually helping you to navigate the world by funneling down the information into a bite-sized bit that allows you to navigate into a world of compassionate giving and receiving. We make it harder on ourselves when we layer on judgment, moral judgment, when we layer on a commentary of what's good and what's bad and who's right and who's wrong and so forth, then we're actually depriving ourselves of all the energy that's available to us. And so becoming aware that of not only what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, but the quality of our thinking is an important part of practicing nonviolent communication. Then the third thing that we're paying attention to, besides intention and attention, is what's going on in our bodies. And we're going to play with that deeply in just a couple of minutes. And those feelings are like an information system. Information about what? It's about what we need. And needs are universal. So it's something that we all share. And so we're focusing, rather than focusing on who's right and who's wrong, we're shifting our focus to who needs what right now. When we do those first three pieces, there's a natural effect to that. We're aligning all of our experience with the life that's moving in us, and we naturally become open to outcome. And our question then becomes, what can make life more wonderful from now on? I'd like to try this. I'd like to try that. Will this contribute? If it doesn't, then I learn something and I try something else. So I'm just going to pause for a second, 30 seconds of silence to just let you take that in. So Marshall Rosenberg's words that describe these pieces here, he called it spiritual clarity, that we're becoming clear on our nature as human beings, that we're compassionate and compassionately giving and receiving. And that implies interdependence. We're giving and receiving to somebody, and somebody is everybody else that we are involved with on a moment-to-moment basis. So we're interdependently connected. Now, nonviolent communication, we realize that we're not always living from these four elements of intention, attention, focus, and the effect. And because we get caught up, we get ensnared in a language of moral judgment. That's nobody's fault. It's just the way we were educated. It's old stuff that we probably started absorbing as a culture around 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. It's a artifact, an unintended consequence of the agricultural revolution. And so we suddenly started introducing domination into human life in a way that had never really existed before. And so NVC is designed to undo some of the damage from that cultural education that almost all of us have received. I still haven't met anybody else, but I'm sure they must be out there. And I look forward to meeting somebody that didn't get educated in the way that I was. But I'm so grateful that NVC has these three strategies: self-connection, which we've already had one practice with, and we're about to do another one. And then empathy, which is the listening part, where we're really taking this heart energy and we're intending to open it to the experience of someone else, what's going on for them. So we're focusing on what they might be observing, feeling, needing, or requesting. And honesty is the strategies of nonviolent communication, where we speak from our own heart about what's alive in us, what we're observing, feeling, needing, and requesting, and what we sense would really make life wonderful for all of us. The gateway into that is needs. Marshall worked for many, many years evolving what became nonviolent communication, experimenting with ways of supporting a quality of connection that inspired compassionate giving and receiving. And in the early 90s, he began to focus more and more on needs. By the time I got involved in 2000, needs were at the center point of nonviolent communication because of the inherent built-in quality of needs to connect all of us. Because it doesn't matter whether you live in India or Singapore or Atlanta or Maui, we have the same needs. Doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or a liberal or a conservative or a this or a that, whatever label is irrelevant because we're all connected at the level of need. So we can use a focus on needs to transcend differences because we already have common ground. All of us need these things. And if you look at this needs chart, you'll see that some of the words are in bold. So if you start at the bottom at 6 o'clock, these are the survival needs. Every animal on the planet, from human beings to amoebas, have these survival needs. And then human beings have lots of other needs. And so do some other mammals. But we all have a need for meaning, a need for protection, a need for autonomy, a need for interdependence, honesty, empathy, regeneration, well-being, and transcendence. And then the words underneath the needs chart, they're like little synonyms or flavors of these larger streams of needs that go around the outside circle. And so today we're going to work with some self-empathy using these NVC skills. And there's just 3 elements that we're going to be practicing today: noticing, naming, and allowing. You don't need to know what any of that means right now because we're going to have a direct experience of practicing it. Let me just pause here and see if there's any questions. Go ahead, Siva.
2 comments I wanted to make. I was recently at a memorial service for the Holocaust, and one of the leaders pointed out that there's not 5 senses, there's 6. And I think it would be nice to consider thinking of the 6th sense, which is remembering, and tie that in. And then when you were talking about the gerund, the ing, I really love that because it keeps you in the present all the time. And on the chart, you might want to change all of those words to the ing form, like celebrating, et cetera, et cetera.
I love that idea. I love that idea, Siva. I love that. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Wish I would have thought of that. I'll have to give you credit now when I update the handout. So thank you. I love that idea. Appreciate the partnership. And yes, I would say in terms of memory, or a 6th sense, that that thinking, which includes memory, is definitely something that we can use our observational skills to attune to. And it can be, for some of us, especially people that have bodies that look like that have the same kind of genetic code as me, in other words, males, we've been so educated to be disconnected from our feelings that sometimes thoughts are the best way to get to our needs. So I don't ever want to say that there's anything wrong with thinking. I want to figure out how we can use thinking in order to connect more deeply with ourselves and other people, including memory. Memory is such a powerful connector. So thank you for bringing that up, Siva. Is that complete for you?
Yeah.
Thanks. Jeff?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. I wanted to ask if you could speak just for another moment on the idea of like culture of dominance. I know that it's part of my life experience, and I'm sort of seeing it pop up in different areas, but I don't really know how to research it or to kind of get at that idea a little bit more.
Okay, well, a couple of leads on how to look into domination. One is one that Marshall recommended, and that's the work of Walter Wink, W-I-N-K, Walter Wink. And Walter was he's gone now, no longer residing on the planet, but he was a theologian, and he talked about the roots of domination and how we end up getting educated in that way. Philosophically, you can look into the work of Thomas Hobbes, because he really was scared. Thomas Hobbes and Jean-Jacques Rousseau, they kind of have opposite ends of the spectrum, looking at what happened for human beings after, as we transitioned into kind of more modern human beings. And the best way to explore that I found is a book called Humankind, Humankind, by Rutger Bregman. And I'm just reading this book for the first time, but so far I love it. I'm about maybe 25% through the book, and I'm really learning a lot about this distinction between different ways that human beings have lived on this planet, and the possibilities for how we can take what we've learned and transform where we want to go from now on. So I recommend that as a way of looking at it.
Thank
that
you,
helpful?
Jim. Appreciate you giving that to me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I wrote everything down. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so let's see here. Go ahead, Sarah Joy. Whoops, can't hear you yet.
Thank you. I just unmuted. I just wanted to add to the last comment and your answers and guides to finding out more about I guess, I don't know, some people call it patriarchy, some people call it domination. But I do want to say there is something called matrilineal or matriarchal societies also. And so you can kind of go back a little farther than just in the United States. And the interesting thing that I just learned this week, because I'm about to be in a book club about it, is that matriarchal and patriarchal are not like opposites, like you might think. In a patriarchal society, men rule, and in a matriarchal, men rule the women and everyone else. And in a matriarchal society, women rule the men and everyone else. But that's actually not true from what I've discovered, that it might be true for the patriarchal society more than it is for the matriarchal society, and matriarchal society is more inclusive. And I thought that was interesting. It sounds like it's more like NVC. And I don't know enough about it to answer anyone's questions, but I can share after about 6 weeks in the book club. I'll know a little bit more and I can provide resources. But I think it just kind of adds a little more dimension to the conversation. So I thought I'd share it now.
Thanks, Sarah Joy. Keep us informed. Siva, you
Okay.
had one more thing? I can't hear you yet.
Two things. I'm wondering, Jeff, if you could put those titles in the chat. Would you be able to do that? for us?
Purva did it. Purva put a couple
Oh,
things.
wonderful.
Thanks, Purva.
Another book, I haven't read it, but I did order it this week. It's by Bell Hooks. Have you heard of Bell Hooks? Always written in lowercase letters. There's a book called Men, Masculinity, and Love, the will to change. Or maybe it starts out with the will to change men, masculinity, and love.
Great. Thanks. Thanks, Siva. Can you put it into the chat?
Maybe
Okay.
I'll try.
Okay. So now just take a moment and transition. Another 30 seconds to attune to your heart. And then as you attune to your heart, expand your awareness to the rest of your body. Just notice what your sensations are. What are you noticing about the sensations in your body? You can just say it, even though everyone's muted, that's what I want. Just say it out loud. Just report your feelings, your sensations out loud. So I'll do mine to give you a little example of what I'm talking about. I notice moisture in my right eye, almost like a tear, but not a tear. I notice kind of a little quiveriness, a little quiver in my tummy. I notice an urge to swallow. I notice my lips are dry and I want to lick my lips. I just became aware of the sensation of my lower right leg. I don't know why. Doesn't matter why, just noticing what I notice and naming it. I just notice a short breath followed by a long breath. So I'm just noticing and naming. Noticing and naming. Any questions about what you saw me do? Okay. So this is an extremely powerful and important practice. We're going to do it for 4 minutes each. I've made new groups for you in pairs. So everyone will have 4 minutes to just sit there and report whatever you notice your sensations are. Just sensations. No thinking, nothing other than saying what you notice in terms of sensations. Maybe you say numb over and over and over again, or maybe you just say numb once and there's nothing else to say. That's okay. Just notice what you notice and name it. Okay? There's no right or wrong answer. So that's what the speaker is doing. What the listener is doing exactly what we did in the first group, listening with an open heart. And you'll be attuning to your own body as the other person does this. You might notice that if somebody says they just noticed their right leg, like I did a minute ago, you probably became aware of your right leg. It's just the way our brains work. We are connected. So, but you don't have to say any words when you're the listener. You're just listening for 4 minutes, which for some of you will feel like forever. Is this ever going to be over? And for some of you, it'll be like, is that it? I want more. And for some of you, probably most of you, be somewhere in the middle. I'll try to send a message through the chat when there's 4 minutes left. And then there'll be 1 minute at the end for you just to wrap it up really quickly with each other. Maybe there's a quick report about whether you liked it or didn't like it or any insights, just 1 minute at the very end. So a total of 9 minutes. You'll see a timer in the upper right-hand corner of your screen that will support you in sharing the time equally. So 4 minutes each. Anybody have any questions? Okay, see you back here in 9 minutes.
Like in some kind of an.
Cool. Well, thank you, AJ. AJ and I got to practice, which was very nurturing for me. And I want to hear how it was for some of you. Monica, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I found it kind of interesting. I was a bit I was a bit not wanting to do it, but I always choose to do everything. So yeah, because it was strange for me because I never did it. And I did do it because I followed directions from the teacher. But actually I realized that my neck started out tense and at the end my neck was loose as a goose. So I was gonna ask you, was the purpose of this to relax? Because that was interesting.
That's an interesting effect, isn't it? That you were aware of a shift in the amount of stress that you were feeling, and what your experience is. It's not the purpose of the exercise. It is a common effect of self-connection, especially naming sensations and emotions. It tends to reduce disconnection or a feeling of separateness. So I'm glad that you named it, Monica. I'm glad that you experienced it. Doesn't always happen, but it can. Vega?
Okay, thank you for the exercise. I appreciate it. It was a really new thing for me, so thank you.
You're welcome. Vega?
Yeah, it was quite interesting to follow sensations. And at the same time, I noticed that I would like to add explanations while I was sharing. So I said, okay, I have some pointed pain in my foot because I got hurt. But this is not sensation or, yeah, at the moment. So there was this temptation to enter with this explanation. So I was not sure, maybe I was not supposed to do it. And the other thing was you said we focus on our body sensations. And for me, I used to mix with emotions a lot. So also it's interesting to see only really stay with the sensations. So I was curious, what was the purpose of sensing only body sensations?
Great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience. And I catch your curiosity about the why. And let me just check to see if I want to answer that yet. I think I want to hear from Jay first, and then I will maybe say a little bit more about that. Go ahead, Jay.
I noticed when I was listening to Aidan that when he was describing a sensation in one part of the body, I tend to focus on that same part of the body, but I didn't feel the same, didn't necessarily notice the same feelings, but I tend to follow his focus.
Yeah. Remarkable, isn't it? Did anybody else have that experience? That as someone else expressed a sensation, you noticed it too? Just raise your hand if that happened for you. It happened in our group as well. Yeah. That's connection. That's connection. Doesn't mean that if it didn't happen that there's anything wrong. It's just that you noticed a sense of connection. And there's a good reason why that happens. It's the way your brain works. Your brain has these special nerve cells, neurons, that are called mirror neurons. And they have the specific function of noticing what other people are saying, feeling, doing, and your brain is kind of making a model of whatever the other person is reporting. And so I don't know if you've ever had this experience that if your partner is happy, you tend to be a little happier. If your partner is a little down, you tend to go a little down. And so because we're constantly feeding off of each other's heart energy and feeling energy. Thanks, Jay, for pointing that out, and also for talking a little bit about what it was like to be on the listening end. Tanya, is that a hand? Go ahead.
Yeah, so further to that, so I also noticed that when my partner Rob said he could hear television in the background, then I could sort of hear television. But then I kind of criticized myself that I was thinking. So was I thinking or was I just connecting?
I don't know. Only you know that. You know your own brain better than I will know it. And so
okay, so for me it was connections, because I was going through, like he said, he could feel a pen, and I was like, oh yeah, it's almost like I can feel the pen in my hand too.
Yeah. It
Okay, thank
shows
you.
the power of our words to influence the experience of somebody else. And so that's what that's my sense of what probably was happening. And Rob also threw another little wrinkle into it, because he reported not only sensations, which are of the body. This is an important distinction to get, by the way. Sensations, when I use the word sensation, I'm talking about what you notice in your body. And perceptions are what you notice in the world with your observations, with your observing. And so you can play the game with either sensations or perceptions, or both, like y'all did. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different way of connecting to different kinds of experience. As for why did I start with sensations? It's because sensations are immediately available and they're constantly changing. Right? Did anybody keep saying just the same sensation over and over and over again for 4 minutes? Probably not, because your brain is scanning, your body is scanning for sensations. And why? What's your guess? Why would the body be doing that? Why is your body scanning for sensations? Who has a guess or a theory about that? Why would we evolve this function? Yeah, Tanya?
Is it safety? Survival?
That makes a lot of sense to me. The animals that are most aware of their sensations and perceptions are more likely to survive long enough to procreate. So we come from a long line of sensors and perceivers. Our nervous system is exquisitely designed to help us to be not only safe, but to address other needs as well. So I'm going to share my screen with you a little bit, and then I'll come to you, Jeff, in just a second. So this is our basic handout on feelings. And if you look on the left-hand column under the word survival, you'll see some sensations that are very likely to be experienced by human beings practically on a daily basis. We feel hungry every day. We feel thirsty every day. We feel some sort of temperature variation every day. Sometimes we feel tired and sometimes we feel rested. So you'll notice on the left-hand column is pain, what we might call pain. So pain arises when our body senses we need information to attend to needs. When those needs are satisfied, the body starts sending different signals. So once we have got a full belly after we've eaten, we feel sated, or you notice the sensation in your body that you call full. Likewise with thirst, you're either thirsty or you quench your thirst. You're either cold or warm. I suppose warm, you could have that when you're unsatisfied as well. Could go either way. Sometimes it gets too warm for us to be comfortable. Tired and rested, content and envy. Now, when we go to envy and contentment, we switch from sensations to emotions. So what's the difference between a sensation and an emotion? Well, there's probably lots of different definitions. The way that I keep it straight is sensations are immediate and they're constantly changing. Emotions are also immediate, but there's usually some processing going on. And what I mean by processing is where our emotions are helping us to make meaning of the world. Our emotions are there to help us to predict what's going to happen next in relationship to our needs. So emotions are it seems to me, a little more complex than sensations. An amoeba has sensations, but an amoeba doesn't have emotions. A dog has sensations, and a dog has emotions. Mammals have emotions. Not sure about lizards. Not sure about fish. No, they have sensations, but I don't think I don't think one goldfish can feel envious of another goldfish. So another way that I look at sensations is they're almost like reactions, whereas emotions are more responsive. If you're interested in discovering more about emotion, the different distinctions between emotions and sensations, you might look at the work of Lisa Feldman Barrett, who I've mentioned in this class before. I'll put her name in here. She is a neuroscientist. That's not equal Barrett, it should be dash Barrett. But now the next exercise we'll get to in just a minute. First, I want to check in with Jeff. Jeff, you still have a question?
No, I'm grateful, man. I get so full from these classes with the information. You asked why we might evolve to have such sensations, and I was thinking that it has something to do with our own innate ability to meet our needs.
Yeah.
So we sense those things because we can, and even self-calming, like that's the area that I'm focusing on right now, that could be meet any of our needs.
Yeah.
But we can do it ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. Thank you, Jeff. I think that is very resonant for me, that we evolve these sensations to help us to not only survive, but to thrive. Surviving means to get the bare minimum required in order to get to the next breath. And thriving means to experience abundance, to experience that we have not only enough, but we actually have more than enough to share, enough energy to give compassionately to somebody else. Beth.
Well, I'm not sure that other what they call lower forms of life, or more simpler, more or less complex forms of life, are void of emotions, because every species has the fear, the fight, flight. They're either, because they'll be either eaten or they'll be food. And so even the dandelion, I've noticed that when I pick a dandelion, I put them in the garbage, those little heads are sticking out of the garbage head. They know that they need to get out. And so I kind of disagree. I think that these forms of life do have emotions. They do have fear. They do have joy. And yeah, that's my piece.
I am totally confident that every living being, including plants and mushrooms, have sensations. It doesn't matter whether you're an amoeba or not. There's sensations that you're responding to. If you can move, you have sensations. Emotions, it's a debate. And I haven't read this article, but I put it in the chat just in case you want to read it. Maybe I'll read it later too. But it's about the debate amongst scientists about whether mammals have emotions or not, in the way that we use the word emotion. I'm not sure. I try not to be too sure about anything, even though I sound like I'm constantly pontificating or preaching about something. I like to always have a little sliver of doubt. Sarah Joy, and then we'll do the next practice.
Yeah, I'm not going to make any claims, but I do want to share an experience. A friend of mine knows someone who worked in, I guess it was for the Navy, and it was underwater with sonar, and it really affects the whales. And she was one of the people who was trying to do some education around that. But she did work for the Navy. She wasn't really able to change anything, but she reported that when the next season was coming up, and she knew who the whales were and where they were and everything, the mother whale brought her baby, found her, and stood in front of her with that baby. And she said she got the message that you may have done this for me. It's so hard on me with all of the sound that you're doing, but this is a baby. So please be aware I have a baby. And I mean, anyone can interpret that any way they want. She was with that group for a really long time, and that was the message she got. And so it sounded to me, if what her message was, what she got was true, then the whales do have emotions, and they're complicated because they're able to communicate to even people to protect their babies. So I don't know, anyone can comment on that, but that was
Yeah,
my
thank you.
experience.
Thank you for that. I would like to talk more about it, but I want you to have one more chance to practice. Can you hold it, Gustavo? Yeah, okay, good. So this time I want to put you back into the small groups for a slightly shorter period of time because we have a guest coming in about 10 minutes. And I want to make sure to give her a chance to connect with you guys. But in this time, go back to the same group. And this time you can talk about sensations or emotions. So if you notice an emotion come up, name it as well. So if you notice, I'm embarrassed, or I'm happy, or I'm intrigued, whatever emotion words, you could talk about either sensations or emotions. Same exercise, 3 minutes each this time. One person's listening, the other person is speaking. Okay, here we go. Okay. So we got about a couple minutes before our guest arrives. Go ahead, Gustavo, and then we'll see if we have time for Monica and Purva. We might have to put you on pause if Kirsten arrives. Go ahead, Gustavo.
Real quick, so I just want to add to the debate of the animals. Search about Anna Breitenbach. She's an animal interspecies communicator, and you can research about her. You're going to be amused.
Can you put her name into the chat?
I will.
I put another link in there from somebody that I really trust, Frans de Waal. Thank you, Gustavo. Frans de Waal wrote an article for Greater Good about emotions. He's an emotions researcher, working primarily, I think, with primates, but he works, I believe, with other mammals as well. And I certainly like to think my animals have emotions. I don't think they have things like anger, guilt, shame, and depression, but I don't know. Go ahead, Monica, and then Purva.
Okay, mine is short. I just wanted to have a celebration because I was really reluctant to do the first sensation activity because I can't usually feel in my body, and I'm usually in my head. I can guess feelings and needs really easily. So, but I did it, and now the second exercise, like the first one, my neck was really super tight, and now it's really loose and feel freedom. And so I'm just celebrating that. Hey, wow, something new for me, a new learning. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad to hear it, Monica. I'm savoring your celebration. Purva, and then Rob.
So it was beautiful because my partner was Dianath, and he's sitting in a beautiful garden. And I happen to have trees outside my window. A word that became very connected to me in today's session with him was boundless. So it felt very like I was sharing that I feel like I'm in a boundary inside the house. And because he was in the garden, that boundless feeling. And also to be able to, Diana, if you're okay to share it in your words, I want to, I'm not being able to share, I wanted to share what you spoke about being boundless. But yes, that word boundless stayed for me. And it is very powerful. And I don't know if I made any sense.
Yeah, for me, boundless is, just connecting with everything that's around, having no boundary, and not being localized at one place. So having a sense of awe for everything that's around, especially nature.
Thank you. And Rob?
Yeah, Tanya and I were just talking about about the difference between sensations and perceptions, and we're thinking that if you think your touch is feeling something hard, let's say, maybe that's a sensation, but perception is, oh, that is a pen. You're kind of figuring it out. Is that kind of what you're talking about, Jim?
Similar. The way I look at it is sensations are of the body. I sense what I'm sensing my body, and I'm perceiving the world, to use the gerund, the ing form. So I'm sensing my body and perceiving the world. And that's perceiving is where I'm experiencing sight, sound, and so forth, the five senses. And I see Kirsten is here. Yay, Kirsten. Welcome to our practice group. I haven't revealed yet. I told them that you would be coming to visit us, but I didn't tell them why. But I want to introduce you all to my friend Kirsten, whom I've known for probably almost 20 years now. And we've worked together on a few different projects with CNBC. And I'm really glad that you're here today, Kirsten. And tell us a little bit about what brings you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, and good morning. I have a little to 6 o'clock in the morning here. So, yeah, I am here because I am spreading the word about a project that I'm doing in Kenya, where we want to build a nonviolent school in a very poor area of Kenya. It's under Rusinga Island in Victoria Lake, if any of you know of that. And it's an area where there are not enough secondary schools. And it's also an area where there's a lot of violence in the schools, a very old-fashioned domination system. There's just been a case where 3 teachers beat up a student so badly that he ended in hospital. And many other troubles in that area. So we are working together with certified trainers in the area who would like to build a school based on NVC and make dedicated spaces for teenage mothers, because that's another problem in the area, that the young girls, either they get forced into a marriage or they get raped and get pregnant long before it was meant to be. And when that happens, sometimes they are thrown out of school and sometimes thrown out of home. So they are left with very few options how to survive, other than maybe turning to selling sex for food. So we would like to have spaces for teenage mothers so they can come and stay with their babies and have care for the baby while they go to the school, and a safe place to be. So we have been working on this for 2 years, and maybe long. The idea started 15 years ago. And it started because some of our colleagues, certified trainers, started going there and training the people in NVC And that's why the parents say we want an NVC school, because they know what NVC is. So we have, over the last couple of years, acquired the land as a donation from German colleagues. We have built the first latrines, important to have as a start, and a fence. And now we are ready for the bigger part of the buildings. And for that, we need $35,000. So I'm spreading the word to support us through just telling it to others. Maybe you have money you would like to support with, or maybe you know someone who might want to support such a project. You can also support us by just liking us on Facebook, or telling the world about it. And it will come in several steps. The step we are taking now with 35,000 is to build the first 4 classrooms. They will hopefully be built this year. And the students can start in January only. So we want to be ready for January, and it's time to start the building project. And then after that, the following year, we will be building the science lab and a real kitchen. But right now we'll start with a temporary kitchen. That's allowed in Kenya to start with a temporary kitchen. And other library and other buildings, they will come the following year. So, any comments or questions? Yeah.
Before we get here, comments and questions, is it okay if I share my screen and show a couple of the pictures that you sent me today, Kirsten?
Oh, yeah, please do, please do.
Okay. And I made you a co-host, so you can do anything that you need to do too. But here's tell us who these people are.
Yeah. These are the people in the CBO, what we call community-based organization. It's a little bit like an NGO. It's a registered organization in Kenya, but it's smaller than an NGO. So these are the Black people in the picture. They are in that organization. So they are the ones holding this vision. And then you have Jane Connor from US, and you have me. We are the white ones in the picture. So this is from December last year when I was there. And and this gentleman is Samuel Ogala. He is the initiator of this project. He lives in Rusinga Island. He's a certified trainer and a very good person.
Gustavo, you have a question?
And also I saw, what was it, Siva before?
Yes. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Kristen, for the information. Kristen, I have a question because I'm a Waldorf teacher in a Waldorf school, and I'm proposing a nonviolent communication curriculum for the kids. And I would like to have your feedback on that, and to know if the school you are creating, if part of the plan is to teach nonviolent communication to the kids, or is more using nonviolent communication in the process of education. So, and if so, if you are planning to teach nonviolent communication to the kids, I would like you, if we have time, you can go a little bit deeper on that, and ages appropriate lessons and those kind of things. Thank you.
Yeah, we plan to do both. The teachers will be trained in nonviolent communication. The training has actually started with some of the teachers, and also to share it with the children. I think it's age 12 to 18. But the curriculum, I think it would take more time to go into. There is 5 short videos that I have created about NVC in schools, so you can see how we start working in a Danish school. It's called The Culture of Peace in School with NVC, if you look that up on YouTube. There's some free material.
The Culture of Peace, can you say it again? Yeah.
Culture of Peace in School with NVC.
Okay.
The material for download, and yeah.
I very humble offer you my proposal. I can share with you, and of course, it's more important for me your feedback, but probably could be a little bit helpful for you as well. So I create some kind of curriculum. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thanks, Gustavo. Siva?
Can you put that all that information in the chat? And the second question is, what language? And Kirsten, what country are you in right now?
I'm in Denmark.
Okay, so what language will the instruction be?
Well, in Kenya, they are working in English as their shared main language. They also have African language in this area. I think it's called Suba. Yeah. But the official things, and also in the school, they work in English, and everybody, or not everybody, because not everybody have gone to school, but those who have gone to school, they know English.
Good, that's a good idea. Can put the information in the chat.
Yes, and I will, in next week's mailing, I will include a couple of, a video that Kirsten made describing this. And as those of you who have been coming here know, we've used this, this practice group to do some fundraising in the past, so we appreciate your generosity. So any money that you would like to share for the practice group will go directly to this project. In fact, anything that you donate over the next, we're going to do this for the next 6 weeks. Through the middle of May, or maybe a little bit beyond. Anything that you guys donate, Jory and I will match. I'm also looking for a couple of other people to match funds. So what matching funds means is, if you, let's say you donated $100 because your heart opened up to this possibility of a school where people don't get beat up by their teachers. And so let's say you decide that you wanted to send $100 to Kirsten. You let me know that you did that, and I'll send Kirsten $100 too. And I'm going to work on these 2 other donors. One is a lifelong educator in the Montessori system that I think she will love the opportunity to celebrate by sending some of her money. And also I have a dear friend who has donated a lot of money to NVC in the schools here in Maui. And so I think she'll be excited about this project as well. So I think we can do $35,000. I'm very optimistic that we can, with all of you are connected to 7 other people that you can ask to support this project. And I want to get it off the ground so they can open up by next January. They're on a bit of a schedule now. Do you want to say just a little bit about that, Kirsten?
Say again.
About why you would like them, why you need the $5,000 right away so that you can be ready for January.
Yeah, it's because we finally have everything ready to start the work, and meaning we have the architectural drawings, and it's going to be bioconstruction. So we have had some special architects helping us design a school that will have a good acoustic, which is unusual. Often you just build concrete walls and the acoustic is terrible. And it will have a roof with plants on, maybe not only grass, but also things you can eat that will protect from the heat. And often they just use iron sheet. And we think that we can actually build this amazing building a little bit cheaper than the normal building style with concrete and iron sheet roofs. And we are ready to do the landscaping and to do the foundation. The foundation needs to be in concrete to protect it from termites and other things. So we're ready to start that work, but we still haven't raised enough money to ask the machines to start working. So we are quite eager to get the first money in. And yeah.
Thanks, Kirsten. I'm going to put the link to my PayPal into the chat as soon as I can find it. Okay. Let's see. Chat. I miss joy in moments like this. When we're a team, I can do things a little more efficiently.
And I see a comment from Leslie saying this school may be a model for other schools. That's exactly what we hope it will be, that it'll be a place where teachers from Kenya and maybe other countries in Africa will come and see what does it look like with a nonviolent school. Because many places, they cannot imagine that you will have any peace or any work done unless you use authoritarian principles. So we're very hopeful to be able to show something to other teachers.
And Fernie, go ahead, Fernie, and then Siva. Fernie?
Oh, I just typed in my question, but I was wondering if there's an opportunity to volunteer to help build the school.
If there's what?
An opportunity to volunteer.
Yes, once the school is running, absolutely. And once we start building the clay walls, will maybe also be an opportunity to help with the building project. But it's definitely an idea we have, that we can have volunteers from other countries come and help teaching, because it will be in English.
Okay. So how do we get more information about that, if you could pass that along? Maybe
Yeah,
later,
we have a website. Jim, do you have the link to the website ready? Or I have it here.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I've got
I
it.
have it here, yeah. So I can put that in.
Thank you.
Siva?
Rather than just a school, I know there's a model called ORT, O-R-T, that's been in the Jewish world for over 100 years already, where there's skills, actual skills that are taught. So, not just math, but,
Yes, I think all the life skills that you get through NVC, how to engage with each other when we are in disagreement, to solve your conflicts instead of fighting about it. And
no, that's not what I'm
many
talking
other
about.
things.
I'm not talking about that. Something where you get a job. Of course, NVC is a skill, but you still, how do you build a building? How do you, the architecture, the energy.
Yes. Maybe we don't do it as much as you could imagine right now. It's a very good idea. I think the plan is that there will be some organic gardening, some permaculture part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming today, Kirsten. Maybe you can come back again in a couple of weeks and say some more about it. Maybe we can watch the video together as our self-connection exercise, or I don't know what time it is in Kenya. It's probably terrible timing, but maybe one of the trainers there could come and visit as well and talk about this. And I put the link to my PayPal in there in the chat. So you can donate the money directly to me, or you can donate it directly to through Kirsten's website. That's actually better. Just let me know that you did it so I can match your funds. Jory and I want to support this project very, very much. We want to get this school built. I'm just actually sitting in astonishment that that you can build 4 classrooms for $35,000. In Maui, it would cost $3.5 million to build a school with 4 classrooms, right? And so, you're able to create something very concrete and include us in a way that we can all feel like we're contributing from our own compassion to make life more wonderful for generations to come. So thank you so much for coming, Kirsten.
Thank you. And one last thing. Thank you, Jim. If you would like to have tax deduction, if you are a US citizen or a Germany citizen, we have avenues for that will give you tax deduction. So just to let you know. Thank you.
Excellent. Tanya, and then we'll be finished for today. And Monish.
Can we just note the name of the Facebook page?
I don't have it open. Let me find it.
She'll look for it and then she'll put it in the chat. Monish?
I have a quick question for Kirsten. I'm just curious, are you in touch with Imtroud, who's also supporting NVC in Kenya in many ways through IITs and other ways?
Absolutely. This project has been supported very much by Irmtraud and Christiane Welk. So I'm just walking in their footsteps.
That's great.
They have been the ones really starting training the people in the area.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we always finish the group with an opportunity to go back to small groups and connect. I just made 3 massively sized groups because most people will leave. But if you end up wanting to stay and you want to be in a group, there'll be a group where you can hang out with and finish up any connections that you'd like to do today. We'll be back next week and we'll continue to deepen our kind of this preliminary work, especially with self-empathy. I encourage you, the practice that we did today, where you just report your sensations and emotions for a few minutes. You can do that with yourself in front of a mirror. You can do it with a tape recorder or a iPhone or something like that. Better yet, get a partner. Find an empathy buddy or a practice buddy, maybe somebody in your own family, and use it as an opportunity to share your direct experience with other people. And we'll keep practicing next week. And very much enjoyed being with you today. And I hope Jory will join us again next week. And I'll just keep this open. I'll open the groups in just a couple minutes. Did we get the Facebook page yet? Yep, there it is.
Yeah,
Great.
I put it in there. Yep.
Okay, good. All right, well, thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next week, if not sooner. I'll put you back in small groups now, and if you have to go.
Aloha, thank
Aloha.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you
bye-bye.
and bye-bye.